Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. So the Liberal Party leadership race is heating up with Carney and Freeland set to announce their candidacy later this week, and we already have a major candidate dropping out of the race. You barely realized she was in the race, but Christy Clark entered and left basically within the same 5-day period. Heck of a ride. Good job, Cristy Clark. But it was truly mesmerizing to watch Cristy Clark jump into this race, have the dumbest scandal possible by lying about ever becoming a Conservative Party member briefly, and then effectively, through the trolling and jokes of anonymous accounts on X, she lost her nerve and is now no longer seeking the Liberal Party leadership. Like, why? It demonstrates that she didn't have the mettle to win the leadership in the first place if that one bump in the road was enough to throw her off. By the way, her lie was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Right now, the zeitgeist inside the Liberal Party, at least with most of the members who are not hyper Trudeau partisans, is they want somebody who is not like Trudeau, somebody less left wing. And Christy Clark decided that even though she could have actually claimed, I know she is actually still very left, but she could have claimed, hey, I've been a member of the Conservative Party briefly, but I've mainly been a Liberal. I ran the BC Liberal Party, which was a big tent party, and I am the right centrist person to lead the federal Liberals forward. Instead, she then defaults because probably the dumbest consultant in the world was advising her, and she says, I've been a lifelong Liberal. I'm a loyal party member. Guys, loyalty right now is actually the problem. In fact, the only thing probably making Freeland seem like an interesting option in this leadership race is the fact that she backstabbed Trudeau on the way out and demonstrated that she had like some backbone. It was all pettiness that drove her to backstab Trudeau. Trudeau obviously deserves it, but they both deserve it. But that's the only reason she's in the race. And then Clark decides, no, no, no. I'm going to jump into the same lane that Mark Carney is in. Mark Carney, by the way, has just actually taken the lead in the race. Is it because he deserves it? No. It's because Trudeau wants him to be in the lead. You see, Team Trudeau is throwing everything in the kitchen sink behind Mark Carney because, for their own honor, they cannot have Freeland win because it will look like an upset of Team Trudeau. I know Carney is out there saying, "Oh, well, I'm an outsider and I'm going to breathe new life into this party." He's not. It's one of the most obvious things that anyone will have to say in political commentary. Mark Carney is not a political outsider. He is an outsider in the same way that Gerald Butts would be an outsider if he decided to run for the Liberal Party leadership. Yes, he's never been in the caucus or cabinet, but he is Trudeau's economic financial advisor. What? Frank Baylis, you could maybe say is an outsider. He's one of the guys running from Montreal. He was a one-term MP between 2015 and 2019. If I was a Liberal member, I'm not. I'm a very orthodox conservative. I'd probably vote Frank Baylis. At least he's an actual business owner and he's not a career politician in a bad way. Being in office for a long time is not inherently a bad thing. Poilievre has been in office for a very long time. He's also very good at his job, so I have no problem with it. But from Baylis's perspective, he can say, I had no problem. I was not involved in the last 2 terms of Trudeau. I was only involved in the arguably more successful one between 2015 and 19. It wasn't successful. It's still bad. But at least he can actually say he's an outsider. Mark Carney cannot. But let's get back to this poll here, showing where all the candidates are currently at. The last poll we looked at, I believe Freeland, and these are coming from different companies, so they will have different methodologies. But the last one we looked at, Freeland was at like 23% or so. Carney was at like 17 or 15. But things have reversed. Mark Carney is now 27 points in this poll. Freeland is only at 21. She slid not like a little bit compared to other polls, although from this company's last poll, she basically maintained the same spot. Clark, before she decided to jump out, was at 5%. Francois Philippe Champagne is at 4%, although he just announced today that he is also not running. I should show you his post announcing he's not running. It's so weird. Like, he makes it like this triumphant, like, leadership-looking pose in the photo, and then he says, by the way, guys, I'm bowing out. Anita Anand, who's also not running, is at 3%, and Chandra Arya, give him credit. The man's at 3%. And then Karina Gould, who just announced today that she's running, is at 1%. For the best meme candidates, I would say Chandra Arya is one of the funniest. And then I would say Karina Gould is the second funniest. Chandra Arya, because not only does he not speak French, which doesn't really bother me as an Albertan, but he doesn't speak English that well. That makes him really funny. Plus, he's like the anti-DEI candidate, which seems like a bit of an oddball move for that guy to be pulling. But Karina Gould is basically the female Mark Garretson, so I'd really like to see her become the leader. That would be funny, and she'd be guaranteed to lose her seat in Burlington. Emily Brown is a very good conservative candidate out there. I believe she's currently the official nominee. So I hope Emily Brown beats her in that race. But yeah, Karina Gould is the biggest woke scold that you'll ever see in government. She talks like a combination between Chrystia Freeland and Mark Garretson. It's like similarly whiny. At the same time, she has that like overly aggressive Mark Garretson energy. But now I just want to jump down to another poll result just to show the variability that's been going on here. So this one has Chrystia Freeland at 14, Mark Carney 13, Clark 5, Champagne 5, Anand 2, Arya 1, and Gould 1. And I think really what we're going to see here is how much does Team Trudeau have an effect on this race? Because outside of the fact that Trudeau's team is backing Mark Carney, the man should have no support. He's uninteresting. And there's all this weird, like, artificial hype around Mark Carney right now that I don't understand why people think it's going to, like, help him. If anything, it makes him more cloying and annoying. Like, here's this Roddy guy, a liberal partisan, saying, well, 2 weeks ago from now, Mark Carney will have nationalism on his side over Pierre Poilievre when the foreign interference report gets released. Oh, yes, of course. This mythical report will show that Trudeau was in the right and Poilievre was in the wrong. Poilievre will still only have slogans. Start your engines, folks. Okay, sure, guys. Evan Scrimshaw here, I tried to listen to his podcast and I had to turn it off for my own safety. It was particularly boring. But he's responding to this Colin Hicks guy saying, I too thought the interview was decent overall, but I don't understand the hype from what was really a puff piece comedy bit. And he's referring to Mark Carney going on Jon Stewart's show, which I'm going to be making a more edited response to demonstrate honestly how bad that interview was when you think about all of the stilts that like Mark Carney was under trying to make him seem interesting. It was just bad. It demonstrates he has no knack for seeming personable or charismatic. But Evan Scrimshaw, in response to this, says, the reason it is generating hype is that nobody really doubts Carney's got the intelligence or the ideas to be good at the job of prime minister. They're worried about whether he can do the job of a politician, and he did very well at the politician's skill set. He did what we wanted to see. What you wanted to see was that interview. It was boring. And now you have like people posting like pictures of Carney and saying, hello, Mark Carney, clean up Freeland on aisle 25. Game changer. Oh, yes, this man is a game changer. Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland are the personification of the color beige. The fact anyone is trying to hype these people up as interesting folks should indict them as being liars. I want to show you the thing I posted today because I think it really sums it up well. I said this. I just had to bring it up on screen quick. These two objects really capture the raw excitement of the two frontrunners for the Liberal Party leadership race. You know which one is which. And I think you guys can hash out who the beige binder is and who the leather padded sweater is. Comment down in the comment section of who you think each one is in this Liberal leadership. But yeah, I want to bring up one more video from Daniel Borman, who's running his own satirical Liberal Party leadership campaign. But before we get to that, guys, like this video, subscribe, do all that great stuff. We are trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by mid-December of this year. So every new subscription, counts, really helps out the channel. But now I'm going to bring up Daniel Boardman because he's the real man we can put our faith in this election. By the way, notice that none of those leadership polls put Jeremy Batsey in the running, even though he actually announced before Karina Gould. but people do not care who he is. But here is a candidate that we can really get behind, Mr. Daniel Borman, campaigning from India, which is very fitting for the Liberal Party leadership to be campaigning in either India or China.
Assalamu alaikum. Daniel Borman, future Prime Minister of Canada. And I was just doing what regular commoners do in shopping for some jewelry, but you never get it when it's on a discount price. So I was informed by one of my slaves, friends, that Mark Carney has announced he is running for Prime Minister of Canada on The Daily Show in America. And that is my thing, okay? I thought this was going to be an easy race, but good on Mark Carney for figuring out that you better campaign in a country of 300 million than 40 million. But again, I remind you that I am running in a country of 1.5 billion people. So I realize I'm going to have to step my game up, which is why I'm shopping for a gift for my friend, well, soon-to-be friend, Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine, I need your help on this campaign. I know you and Mark Carney go way back, but I can promise you a lot more than him. I can promise 2 sex criminal islands in Canada. Victoria will be renamed Maxwell Island, and Newfoundland will be renamed New Epstein Island. You will get 2 sex criminal islands, coast to coast to coast. And Mark Carney, he's an elitist. You don't like an elitist. You don't like these elitist, condescending institutions like the Canadian Senate. I'm for the common man. When I am Prime Minister, I will abolish the Senate and replace it with a Chinese police station. Konnichiwa.
How can you argue with that? How can you argue? Make that boy the Liberal Party leader. He clearly knows what he's talking about, at least more than all the other children running right now. But there's nothing interesting here in the Liberal leadership race at all. In terms of, we're going to be talking about like the dynamic between the candidates and why people are running and what lane they're in and who's backing them. And it seems like it's going to turn into like the rebel Liberals backing Freeland versus like Trudeau's crew. And I don't doubt people like Chandra Arya and all these random who cares candidates are jumping in the race because they probably dislike Trudeau, or maybe they like Trudeau and they're jumping in the race specifically because it's going to be a multi-ballot system that they're going to then try and throw their support either to Carney or Freeland. And I think most of them, in fact, are probably working for Freeland, trying to gather a few thousand votes and then telling people to mark Freeland number 2 or 3 on their ballot to make sure that the votes start flowing to her. Because I guarantee you, what the Liberals, the Trudeau Liberals in the party wanted was for this race to basically just be a Mark Carney coronation. They're already annoyed that Freeland is in the race, but what's even more annoying is when they have to deal with, Karina Gould, Jeremy Batsy, like Jamie Batsy, Chandra Arya. They have a bunch of other also-rans also in the race that I can never name off the top of my head. But this allows for those people to then siphon through their communities more votes into Chrystia Freeland. But to finish this video off, I do want to comment on this thing. The PPC people, stop doing this. Again, I'm never saying the PPC should go away, stop getting in Pierre Poilievre's way. I don't care about what Pierre Poilievre wants because that's not my job in life to care what Poilievre wants. My thing with the PPC is, guys, become serious, become something that Canadians will actually vote for. Do not just be the online social media party. And I have no problem with you. I just don't want you wasting your donors' money doing nonsense. Not that this post cost money, but the attitude inside the party is demonstrative of people who are not serious. Look at this post by Patricia Conlon, who was the PPC candidate in Durham. She's posting this, and it says, this election outcome would save Canada. 47% Conservative. Somehow the Liberals and the NDP do not run. The Bloc gets 8, and the PPC gets 41% and becomes the official opposition. To which I commented, I like that even in the fantasy world of the PPC, they still only come second place. And guys, stop wish casting. This is as embarrassing as people saying, Mark Carney's so brat, he's so interesting, he's so funny. Guys, doing the same thing but for Maxime Bernier is not working. But Wyatt, did you read the platform? It doesn't matter. Guys, the Christian Heritage Party and the Libertarian Party also have platforms. Why aren't you voting for them if you're a PPC person? Oh, well, they can't win. You guys can't win either because you haven't done the work. If you do the work, I will give you guys even shout-outs and respect if there seems to be real work on the ground trying to push the party forward. It's a game of inches in politics. Oh, but the Conservatives and Liberals don't have to work this hard. Yeah, because they're established parties. If you're trying to start a new party, you got to work your fingers to the bone. What do you think Elizabeth May honestly did to win her seat finally in a province that she didn't live in? She lived in Nova Scotia. She moved to Vancouver Island to find a good riding to run it and worked her butt off to run it. I do not like Elizabeth May, but I can appreciate her hustle. Maxime Bernier is notoriously lazy, and he needs to figure out what he's doing with the party. Anyways, so that's it for me today, guys. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the channel financially, you can always donate to the Legal Fund, Give, Send, Go link both in the description below as well as in the comments. And make sure to vote for Daniel Boardman for the Liberal Party leadership. See you guys later.